is but one facet of a diamond. Every other facet whereof is more joyful than joy itself. Chapter 13, Pilgrim Talk. O thou that sittest upon the path.
It's really funny. My son's trying to wrap his head around the structure of his friend down in the town where my wife lives is now going to be his 7-year-old uncle.
I'm sorry to hear that, bro.
It's all good. The kid will get over it.
Glad the kid was doing all right, though. Yeah, I'm sorry, man.
Yeah, no, he's rocking and rolling. He was having a little hiccups in school and shit like that, but we worked that out. And I just it never ceases to surprise me, his ability to comprehend things you wouldn't think a 6-year-old could comprehend. So I'm very proud of him.
Yeah, those little fuckers are smart, man. Got to give them more credit than what we do.
Yeah, I never lied to my son, ever. I won't. It's funny, he came up to me, it's like St. Patrick's Day. He's like, Dad, I need you to tell me the truth. Are you the leprechaun? I just giggled. And I'm like, yes, son, I'm the leprechaun. You caught me. He's like, I knew it. He's like, but it's just that he's just so smart. I'm so proud of him every day. He makes me smile. So,
Steven, my son was 8 when that shit started, and I went through it. It was a 4.5-year custody battle. I was not married with her for 15.5 years, but the focus needed, keeping him focused in school, because she didn't want to go in and talk to the school, and it played out for about 5-6 weeks. And when I finally, she's afraid I was like, you're going to go in there and say what's going on. You're not going to go in there and say, yo, she's a hoe, right? No, you go in and say, hey, we're splitting, if he's having any issues. Teacher had tears in his eyes. He's like, dude, he's like my favorite student I've ever had. I thought he was just daydreaming, and come to find out he was when his parents split, so he didn't know what was going on.
Don't you know?
Because the Pope called him out on illegal immigrants. Yeah. He didn't like that very much.
No, JD whispered in his ear. He said, "You're disgraceful. How could you let trans men dance like women in the Vatican?"
Son was always going to love you no matter what they say, and it really backfired on her bad, to the point that they still don't, communicate this many years later. But to just stay focused, be that dad, it's going to be hard at times, but I'm telling you, man, all these single parents saying it's so hard to raise a kid, there's nothing hard about it. Did I have just issues with my son? Did we have fights too? If you go through, I'm telling you now, I'd do it again in a heartbeat, because it wasn't hard. I just was dad. I was just reasonable. Be that dad that says, hey, you can talk to me about anything. I won't get mad. And when they really believe that, for sure, you give that kid a comfort that he'll never, ever, ever have. He couldn't have any other way. And my son and I are so tight still to this day. I love it, man. So, pressure away, brother. You got a big thing going in front of you, and you ever need anything, just advice. I've been there. I ain't no expert, but I read a lot, studied a lot on that shit, and it's all about them, man.
I agree 100%. And thanks for reaching out and offering some support there, man. It is very difficult, but it's not raising him that's the difficult part. It's unfortunate that he has to learn these lessons now in life, and he knows his daddy doesn't lie to him. He knows his daddy still loves his mother. I don't like her very much, but I still love her with the love that I have for every other freaking human being that crosses my path. It's got to a point where I'm not tolerating her fucking bullshit anymore, and her manipulation that really, like she pulled, she was supposed to have him for Easter, and she had lied to me about her fucking work schedule. And lo and behold, she fucking dips out on him for Easter. I mean, I don't need her. I don't need to talk shit. You're right. I don't need to talk shit on her. He's fucking pissed about that, dude. He's like not happy about it. He's like, he didn't really want to go, but you know, the fact that she never follows through, and she's never going to change. I just got to be here to help him pick up the pieces, you know, and that's my job. That's what dads do. So I got it covered.
Yeah, 100%, bro. I'm gonna tell you right now, your recipe's good, man. I went through the same thing with my ex-wife. Like, caught her a few times dogging me out, you know, in front of the boys, and I had to tell her, I said, you don't understand how this game is played. I said, all these bullshit arguments you done picked and fought. I said, the boys are listening to how illogical and how erratic you are, and the shit you're talking, they're gonna start dealing with women at some point, and they're gonna realize how crazy and nutty and over emotional you guys are. And then he's gonna say, I saw my mom doing the same exact shit. You don't want to fucking do that. And to this day, you know, the kids gravitate towards me more because of that. I said, I don't have to talk shit about you. I'm not going to talk shit about you. I refuse to do it because I don't ever want the boys to see me talking shit about you. But understand, your actions, the boys are going to figure this shit out. The same thing with me and my mother. My mother used to dog the fuck out of my dad. And then I got older and started dealing with women. I'm like, let me go talk to my dad. I got his side of the story. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I love my mom, but yeah, I think she was a crazy bitch. You know, like shit started to make sense now. So one thing they got to realize and understand, man, you know, you're going to end up separating yourself and driving a wedge once these boys get older and start figuring things out for themselves.
So yeah, you know, it's so evident. Like, you know, I don't talk shit about his mom, but I do talk shit about her fucking little boyfriend that has decided to, get engaged to this woman. And I even wrote the little boy that I'm like, you know what, dude? Like, because he called me up a couple of weeks ago trying to settle a dispute between her and I about what time I'm going to pick up my son. And I wrote him this reply. I was like, you know, man, I really do appreciate you calling, but it's really got to suck on your part to have to call me regarding, you know, these situations. And let me just go ahead and tell you that youth is a very terrible thing to waste. You know, I mean, is this really what you want to be doing, is negotiating between that crazy bitch and me for the rest of your fucking life? Because that's what you signed up for, buddy.
I had copies of the custody agreement as we were going through this for those 4.5 years. I got copies of it in my car because every time she'd breach it, I just highlight it, because then she wouldn't open the door, whatever. I put it on her windshield, right? And then it was Christmas Day one time, and I was so when I traveled, when it's my Christmas, I'd leave. So I'd let him do it early, or I'd make it up. We'd always have to make up that time, but it's my holiday. And if I leave, this is the rights. This is what I get to do. I just have to make up the time before I go. And I would always leave like Christmas Eve day. So it's like they could do it. They did a Christmas Eve, right? But anyway, this time I was there, and the way that the law states it is you split Christmas then. So like, he was there. So then I get him from whatever time, I can't remember what it was. Like, let's just call it noon to 8, right? And when I got there, her brother wants to come out and start causing problems, you know, and saying that I'm not going to get him. And I just literally dialed 911. They could hear him. And they said, sir, he does not sound stable. Can you please, are you near your vehicle? Can you get away? Can you drive up the block? All that. I did that. The cop gets there. Same thing. He starts in on the cop. And I hear the cop lean in, and he says, unless you want to spend the rest of your Christmas in jail, I suggest you go inside and not say another word, because one more word out of you and I will arrest you. I got my kid, the cop looks, and he goes, how long do you want until? I was like, it don't matter. And he goes, no, this was completely uncalled for, and your son should have never dealt with this. So he's like, keep him overnight. And he has no authority to do that, but, you know, I didn't. I just kept him till about 10:30 or so and then brought him home. But, you know, those are the things you deal with. But, man, I'll tell you what, as time went on, when I moved down here, I called her and I said, listen, the stuff you didn't come pick up that I had in boxes, I still got it. You want to come? And she literally, I had this thing like God was speaking to me that I should reach out and talk to her, and she needed it. It wasn't for me because I was good. I'd forgiven her. But she needed it. And she broke down and started just telling me, like, you know, I need this closure. And she's like, you're the best dad. You're the best guy I've ever had in my life. You're the best dad. I'm happy for you. You deserve this. But I was like, what about all that shit you said before? So just know when they're saying it, they're in that angry state. The reality is you know who you are as a person, stand strong in that, and don't let it wear on you. Because me, I did. I was like, dude, I've never wronged her. I've never laid a hand on her. Never talked shit about her. Never treated her bad. Like, why is she saying this or that? You know, it comes out later. In the end, you know, it was really good to hear. Like, all of that really was that, to hear her admit that. So just stay strong. It's hard at times, but you know, you got your little man, and that's the number one goal you can have in life. You know, and you know, like he says, you know, parents have two different stories, you know, and, you know, my girlfriend, she only heard her mother's, and I kind of convinced her when her dad wrote a letter because he lost a stepchild, and, you know, he wrote a letter, and I said, you got to give him a chance, you got to let him tell the story, and he did, and eventually she ended up giving him a chance, and they had a relationship, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a beautiful story, man. That's good. Well, Steven, just know there's a rule out here, right? I just learned this last year. You can either respect women or understand them, but you can't do both, bro. And once you start understanding them,
I think we're the understanding one, bro. You know, I mean, you know, the first about year or so, it was trying to understand it. That pretty much somebody said that to me in a different way, and it's not just women, it's just people. If it doesn't make sense, it's never going to make sense. And if you're going to waste your time on trying to make sense of something that does not make sense, then that's your problem, Steven. And so I've stopped that, and it's just like, you know, and I put my foot down. I'm like, no. This is what the custody order fucking says. If you don't freaking get it, she keeps on threatening me to take me to court. I'm like, you can't even take me to court. You have to take me to a mediator first. You know, threatening me with her lawyer. I was like, well, then, on that case, since you're threatening me with a lawyer, go ahead and have your lawyer call my lawyer, and they'll work it out. Because I'm done. You know, I'm not talking about this any fucking more. I'll meet you here, and that's that. So, yeah, you know, it's just...
Steven, I'm going to tell you this. My aunt got me a book as I was going through this because she got sick of what I was going through, and it was a book written by attorneys. And the very first part of that book said this: unless the judge is going to see it, do not respond to it, because these attorneys rack up all these bills. Dude, I was making a good living, but 4.5 years of legal bills, going in, spending $15,000 for prepping for court, and you get in there and the judge goes, I want to do a mediation. I just spent $15,000 for that, time and time again, right? So unless it's going to be read by the judge, or it's absolutely mandatory for a response, don't respond. Save yourself the money. That's what those guys said. So,
I'm fortunate. I got a family attorney. He works pro bono for me.
You're good to go.
He works for weed.
So I'm going to put a link in the chat for you guys. You probably don't like this too. This guy explains the difference between a man's brain and a woman's brain. And I've watched this with friends of mine that are girls, and they're dying because they're like, it's so true. Because there's part that he explains about men, and once he is, they're like, it's true. It pisses us off, you know. And it's like, we're not doing anything wrong, but the old saying goes, just watch that video, you'll laugh your ass off.
The honest truth is it hurts our feelings, but men, and I try to explain this to women who don't understand men. I'm like, look, men do not want to cry. It's not in our fucking DNA to go. We get mad and we do fucking something about it. That's what men do. We're not going to sit here and whine and cry about it. We'll get pissed off enough to where we have the unstoppable energy to go do something fucking about it. You know,
we're created to be problem solvers, and they're created to just want to be listened to. And those things don't match. I mean, because we're like, you hear the same gripe about at work, and you're like, here's how you fix it. Oh, that's the last thing to do.
Well, you know, I think the Native Americans had it really good. You know, they just stuck all the ladies in the red tent when it was that time of month. You know, they're like, no, you guys go over, just go over there, and we'll be right over here if you need anything. Go ahead and call us, but you ladies just go right over there.
Backing up to what Sig said, the old saying goes, you don't want to understand women. Women understand women, and they hate each other.
Yeah, I'll do this so funny. My girl comes home from work and she's like, I hate women. Like today, she's like, I hate women. I hate women. These catty ass bitches are so fucking catty and petty, and they don't follow the rules. And I'm like, I told you. I tried to told you. I'm like, quit being a misogynist. Give me a little quit energy.
But it's so funny because I had guys.
Somebody to quit being a misogynist.
I'd have dudes come up into my office. They're about to get in a fight on the fifth floor, or the fifth fight on the floor. And then I'd be like, hold on. I'd get up and I'd go grab the other one. And I learned this actually from the same aunt, because she dealt with, people. That's what her career was. And we talked about it. She says, don't ever get one story. She goes, you get them, you sit down, and you make them tell a story, because now they're not going to elaborate it anymore because the other person's right there. And you let one go, then you let the other go. And you know what? I started doing that. And almost every single damn time, the two of them would just be like, dude, we just want to hit numbers, da-da-da-da. They'd end up shaking, maybe giving that little bro hug. Let's go get back to work, man. Sorry. And it's like, we got an ego, and we get mad at each other, but we could hug it out 30 seconds later or we might be mad for the day, but the next day starts and it's like it's game over, whatever. We get over it, Look at us guys, when we're together, what do we do? If all of us are on the stage here, I'd be busting Sig's chop, he'd be busting mine, we'd be busting yours. You just totally bagging on each other, but nobody's feelings are hurt because we all know we're just giving each other a hard time. We're not really calling you a pussy or a bitch or, saying you actually really have a vagina, We're literally just poking fun at each other, and we decided we grew up that way, and we live on it, so we don't take things as serious,
Well, we understand too.
I'm particularly about that because I'm a Southern California raised kid raised by an East Coaster, so I've got that Southern California sarcasm with the East Coast dryness, and it doesn't go over very well.
Yeah, well, that's the thing too, man. We understand how quickly things can escalate to violence and how much shit we can destroy when we get to a certain level, right? And there's just a mutual respect amongst men to not take it there if we don't fucking have to. You're 100% right, Corey. Like, most of my friends in my circle today, the majority of them I've been in some type of physical altercation with, but we're like best fucking friends. These are guys I can trust and shit. I hear stories of women having issues and they drag that shit out for months, for fucking years, and it's just like, you listen to them talk about each other and the petty shit that they fucking go through with each other. And it's like, I've had worse with my buddies. We've actually duked it out. We punched each other in the fucking face. We folded each other up like a fucking origami swan, and yet we're fucking great buddies to this day. This is someone I can trust in my life, and vice versa. So yeah, it's definitely a different prerogative. I was gonna say, Congressman, correct. You said men were created to solve problems. Women were created. What did you say? Women were created to
talk about them or something like that. I
was gonna say men were created to solve problems. Women were created to start them. So I think that's.
I crack up too, though, because you see them and they'd be so mad. They'd be talking to you, come home and they'll be talking to you about they ain't ever gonna this, that, or anything. And the next thing you know, there's a girls' night. They're all out and they act like they're best friends in their face. And I'm like,
bro, they dog each other out. I'm like, they dog. They'll sit there. I'm like, I see this woman sit there, smile on each other's face, and look at your hair, your lashes, and then boom, so does they're fucking 6 feet from each other, just talking. Can't stand that bitch. Her fucking breast stinks. She's fucking fat. She's fucking she's a bitch. And I'm like, oh my god, dude.
Yeah, I dated a Colombian, and you always hear, they're passionate people there, but you know what? We've had one kind of an argument, and that was stupid. But in the one little tough that we had before that, she was mad because I was working and she made dinner and she sat it down, and I was like, I had to get an email off. She got pouty, and so she went upstairs. So I just got done with my email. I put my phone down. I ate my meal, and she came back down, and she's like, you didn't even know I was gone. I was like, clearly I knew you were gone. You weren't sitting there eating, were you? And what did you want me to do? I said, I'm about done eating. Well, at this point, I'm already irritated because I told her right from the day one, I don't fight. I don't play that game. So I just got quiet. Now, if you told somebody, she goes, I don't get mad. She goes, because then he gets quiet, and I hate that because I won't talk. I'm just that way, And so we don't fight. We don't have any really disagreements. And, it's like, 3.5 years, and it's pretty chill because I never take things too serious. I'm a smart ass. I'm always kind of just, try to find humor in everything, and it works out that way because I don't take shit too damn hard. So, and it's safer when you're with a Colombiana. I don't die in my sleep.
Are you saying, you're saying homie don't play that?
Right.
Yeah, just a Colombian necktie. You'd be okay.
Oh, that's brutal. That's brutal.
Nobody wears ties anymore.
You know, I've had.
Now, Puerto
I
Ricans,
see.
they just straight up tell you they'll stab you in the sleep. They don't even wait till you're sleeping. They just say, I'll cut you.
That's all Hispanic women, bro. I'm being honest with you. I would say someone never been around a bunch of Colombians for a necktie joke.
They are very loud.
Oh, yeah, dude. I was in a class, and, it was a real estate class, and the instructor was Cuban, actually, and she said she thinks the law is BS that you can't tell somebody. Like, if somebody comes to you and says, well, I want to live in this type of neighborhood, yeah, I really can't. I can't tell them where those neighborhoods are. I can kind of show houses maybe in that area, but if I were to tell them, well, you want to live here and here and here, that's illegal. And she's like, I'm Cuban, and I think that is bullshit. She goes, because I want to tell you something. If you move in next to me, you should know it, because we're going to have 30 people over every weekend, and we go till late at night. And I was just laughing, because she was like, no, you should be able to say it. They are, though. They get big parties. I mean, it's just like a birthday party, anything. There's 30, 40 people coming over.
I think that's all Hispanic people, because that's exactly how Mexicans are, man. When they get together, bro, it's like 50 motherfuckers. They got the LED speakers going, fucking karaoke, like, yeah.
I have these Mexican neighbors down in SoCal, and we got into a soundboard because they would have their parties, and like the day, and I was okay with it. I didn't mind. The only thing I had a fucking problem with is they didn't fucking invite me over, man. I smelling all this good food coming over that fence. I'm like, where's my invite? You gonna make me listen to this shit? So I was swinging a bunch of weed at that time, and had an excess of money. So I went straight to the music shop, and I started loading up on speakers. His son came up eventually.
I went to one birthday party. It was an 85th birthday party, and so there was a lot of the older family and stuff there. These guys, and half of them don't speak English, so you always got to translate. But on there, they get towards the end of the night, they have a piñata. And so they get out there, and all of these older people are swinging at this piñata. Finally, this thing breaks, and these old people are like a bunch of kids, literally at that age, are diving on the ground, falling over each other. I was looking for broken hips and stuff. And then all of a sudden, I realized they had a bunch of like perverted stuff, and boobs, asses, penises, all this stuff, and I'm just dying because I'm like, I would have never expected that from people that age, and this one's walking around like it's a microphone talking to the other ladies. I was like, these guys are cutting loose, man. They drink their, I don't remember what it's called. It's not, it's clear, but it's like it's got some heat to it, like a fireball, but it's not that cinnamon taste. They all drink that stuff like it's crazy. It's just hilarious, though. I mean, they're there to have a good time.
Well, I'm 85 years old, tits and cocks. I mean, if you're not used to it by then and don't find them funny,
Right.
There's really something wrong with you. So, hey, either of you guys, have issue with the mother of your children teaching them about religion, because I'm having a real difficult time with that right now, because I really don't think a fucking 6-year-old should be thinking about heaven or hell, and it's really pissing me off, because it's like the kid comes up with these wild questions about heaven and hell and the end of the earth, and I'm like, dude, you're 6. What the fuck?
Do you know who Reggie White is? Played football for the Packers. He was a reverend, and he kind of spoke out. It was kind of in the 90s, and then that's when the more of the.
Did he become a TV evangelist?
No. But what he did was he left. When he got out of football, he decided to learn Hebrew, and then they were like, oh, so now he's a Jew. And he's like, no, I'm just learning to read Hebrew, because he says, I've only been taught what people teach me. I've never read the scriptures because they're in Hebrew. I want to read them myself. And what he said was, it was very different than what we're taught. And so religion is not Well, he talks about hell. No, hell in the Bible is not a fiery place where you burn forever.
No, it's a living state of being. Yeah,
You're just dead. You're just done. It's gone. Now, hell is something different. And so it's like, to me, like, I have faith. I just don't think that a lot of, like, I'm sorry, like the Pope died, and, if somebody's big into that faith, I understand to me, but I'm like, to me, I'm praying to God. Right? He's the one that I'm going to, look up to. I don't look at anybody else as a God, so I don't see the Pope or a pastor or anything else as a God. But, teaching spirituality is one thing, I just think that, it's, I don't know that you start teaching your kids about the end of the earth and all of that, because you don't want we don't want a kid living scared either. You know what I mean?
Right. But, well, that's what I'm having problems with. It's like, the kid's running around playing fucking Harry Potter with his fucking wand that I made him, and she's like, magic is evil. Magic is evil. I'm like, what do you think a fucking goddamn quote unquote miracle is? Right? And but it's that kind. She's just going heavy on this like bullshit rhetoric doctrine that's just it's like religion. It's like newbie Christians, like they just think everything that's like, they don't understand the history of the creation of the text that they currently read and how poorly it was translated.
And I got in debates about that because somebody, they were an atheist, and he talked about it, and he goes, well, the rabbit chewing its cud. Well, the actual scripture doesn't say that. What the actual scripture says is any animal that will eat anything that it excretes from its body, a rabbit will eat its feces, right? And so the terrible translation all the way throughout. But the reality is the Bible does, what does it clearly say? It says to love thy enemy. So I'm supposed to say that because somebody's gay, I'm not going to accept you and let you come to my church? Well, that's not love, because how many days did Jesus Christ spend in a church? When he was in a church, he was overturning tables because he was mad at what the church was doing, right? And so the reality is,
I think Jesus said something, I'm paraphrasing here, but the churches where all evil or all the bad things of the world come from. So he was definitely anti-church, anti-establishment, but needless to say, I've just been teaching him what I understand, and I don't even call it what I know because I don't know it for sure. It's what I understand, and teaching him the difference between having a spiritual connection with God, and because his mom kept on wanting him to pray at night before he goes to bed. I was like, well, the more goal is to pray all the time, is to know that when you're in a state of dilemma that you can, calm yourself, center yourself, talk to the Christ within you, and move forward from there, but I mean, again, it's just one of those things that's like, it's so crazy that a 6-year-old is freaking asking me these questions, and then I'm having to explain them to him and figure out how to explain them to him in a 6-year-old manner, but he definitely knows that his daddy doesn't lie to him, and it's one of those holes that she's kind of digging herself every time she fucking does it, because, it states clearly in our freaking, order that all the religious and other social aspects shall be talked about between the parents and agreed upon, and if nothing can become agreed upon between, let's say, religion, then it's just not to be spoken of, So
the part you were paraphrasing was he said that the church is supposed to be a house of prayer, and it's turned into a den of thieves, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Oh, Amber Alert here. Hold on. Sorry, guys.
Oh, shit. Steve, how have you been? I haven't talked to you in forever on this app.
Nick, how you been, buddy? You've been I see you've been freaking going scuba diving and shit. What's up? How you been?
Yep.
He's doing white people swimming with the sharks.
No. Amber Alert here, guys, and it blocks you so you can't read it. What good is an Amber Alert?
Hey, the white people shit saying is embezzling money and shooting up schools. Get it right.
Steven, I was going to tell you about the religious thing with the kids. I think, and take it with a grain of salt, it's just how I raised my kids, because both me and my ex-wife we were non-believers, both atheists. But the best way you can do it is when you explain things, explain it from how dad sees it. And then I've always taught my kids that religion and belief in a God is something personal. Like, I can't tell you how to do or what to do. Your mom can't, your aunt, your grandma, your grandpa's, uncles, whatever. That's something that's going to be a personal journey that you're going to have to figure out. But you can still be honest with them and describe it through your lens. You know, my kids we used to talk about it and say, well, this is what dad believes or doesn't believe, and this is how dad sees it, and this is what dad's thought process is based on, but that's what works for me. You know what I mean? And then that way, if you explain it to them under the premise that, hey, everybody's entitled to their own beliefs, and you know, that's something they got to figure out, then he can kind of compartmentalize. So whatever mom's teaching it, he'll start looking at it as, hey, that's what mom believes, but it doesn't necessarily mean I have to adopt that view. This is what dad believes. I don't necessarily have to adopt that view. That's just kind of what I found, and you know, my kids have been fine. They go to church. Like my son went to Easter Sunday church, you know, with his girlfriend. My kids don't believe either, but you know, he still goes to church. He's still respectful of people and their processes and their practices and things like that. You know, so I found that works. It creates some level of tolerance, but then still allow them to kind of think for themselves and figure out what path they're going to take when it comes to that.
That's good advice. Thank you, both of you gentlemen. I appreciate it.
It's a tough one though, man, when you have two parents that believe two totally different things. You know, it's definitely a speed bump, man. You know, but
it's just education. What are you going to do? You're not going to like books or content, and you say you can't watch this, you can't read that. I mean, you know, you got to have an open and honest conversation about what communication is. It's hypnosis.
How you doing, buddy? You're always changing your name, dude. I don't know it's you, and I can't ever remember your original fucking name on this goddamn thing, you son of a bitch.
That's Edmund.
I don't know it's Edmund. How you been, buddy?
I came in here earlier. I came in here because, you know, it was what's your experience with black women or black men or black people.
It's just black people. This is not a sexist room.
The point is, it's, you know, if you want respect, you give respect. But a lot of times you don't get respect. So thus, you may not give respect. But the truth is, if you give respect when people don't give you respect, you get back respect. So, you know, just pray you don't have the conflict. I mean, that's the thing. Is like, you're not always going to have conflict. It's always going to come up no matter where you're at, whether the grocery store, the gas station, the gym, or wherever. People are just really obnoxious, and they're constantly always trying to create conflict. But it's really a failure to communicate. So if you have love and peace in your heart, you can transmute other people into love and peace by being your natural, authentic, peaceful, loving self.
Cheeseburger, that was the most beautiful thing I've ever heard you say.
I am a flower until you use the F word or N word or K word or C word or J word, or whatever kind of words you want to use. I mean, then after that, see, Clown House is a great place to experiment where you're going to meet really obnoxious people. And then you take the learning and the experience from this place of obnoxious people, and then you go into the real world, and then you just transmute people into flowers because they don't have the learned experience of clown housery.
They don't even comprehend fucking around on that level.
I mean, it's like, you think you're going to save your son from your wife and her brainwashing and her stupidity? Nope. You might be able to reprogram him with a new book and say, read this book. Tell me what you think about it. Write me a book report. You know, if I had kids, my kids would be reading and writing me book reports weekly. They'd be like my secretaries. I mean, they'd have no choice. And, you know, I'd blackmail them or bribe them.
Thank God you don't have kids, Edmund. Thank God you don't have kids. But no, I know when it came to the whole belief thing, and I was like, I just told him, when it comes to the Bible, I tell him there's more to this story than what's in this book. And I got one of his other books, and I said, now if I was to tear out these pages of this book, would that be a complete book, and would you be able to still tell the correct story in that book? And his answer was no. I said, okay, good. You know how to use logic, kid. You'll be just fucking fine.
Yeah, I mean, the best thing you do, man, is, it's the same thing we were talking about earlier about, dogging out the other spouse or parent in front of the kids. Like, if you come at it with a negative connotation, it's going to leave a negative taste in their mouth eventually when they start figuring shit out. So I just, I discuss it and answer questions as objectively as possible. That way you don't ever break down that trust with the honest dialogue with your kids. I mean, that's the big thing that's going to save you no matter what topic it is. If your kids know that you're going to be 100% real and 100% honest with them, that shit's going to go a long way, Steven, and they're going to gravitate towards that once they start sensing bullshit from any party, any other party.
No, it was harsh. He got into a fight the other week at school because he told one of the other kids that church was stupid. It's for stupid people. I was like, no, dude. We respect each other. They're on their journey to understanding. Kid, don't worry about them. It's none of your business. He's like, oh, okay. I'm like, right on, kid.
Yeah, man, it's atheism is a tough thing, man, because I know a lot of people who used to believe and then they start digging and figuring things out for themselves, and they leave the belief from. And I noticed there's like several stages and phases to this. I've come to realize, because I went through it myself too. Like, you start doing your research and start realizing, okay, a lot of this shit ain't making sense. And then after a little bit more digging, you get hit with the realization, holy shit, I've been fucking lied to. So then you get angry.
Yeah.
Yo, so 3 miles is too far. I'm running behind myself, so that might be too far. But I'll get there. I'll get there before 6:45 for sure. And that girl Christina who keeps liking your shit is gonna be there.
Yeah.
I think she has a crush on you.
Cool.
She's not that old. I think she's like 40 on the dot.
Oh, that's good. She's my age.
And attractive. What?
That's good. She's my age.
Yeah, exactly. And like MAGA and a law enforcement, but I think currently on leave. I forgot. Nothing bad.
Yeah. I had
She loves your shit.
Oh, cool.
She talks about your videos.
Oh, good.
Yeah, she's the one liking your memes account. But she'll be there. My dad will be there. Joseph Marino will be there.
Okay, great.
All these retarded vagrants from Chicago are pissed. So I'm hoping that they actually do something.
Yeah.
But you read my last article?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a piece of shit.
Oh, no, I didn't read that one yet.
Oh, Christina, this girl called me a Democrat plant. But she donated Democrats in 2018.
Well, let's see.
She's not going to play.
Okay, let me read this one. But, yeah, okay, well, I'll see you there at, 7 o'clock.
6:45 is when I'll be there. I think Christina said she'll be there at 6:30.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that might be your little matchmaker. A good, strong man. Make me a match.
You are Tavia. You're the political Tavia.
Oh, no, tradition.
Dude, this is a
Yeah,
long one.
absolutely.
Tevye,
I'm gonna be a Tevye, so I think I'm like I hope they might let people in, but if not, I reserve a table. I'm not gonna go in because they're gonna fucking murder me. I'll go in when I want to get kicked out.
yeah.
At the end. If there's noise, I'm gonna bring my phone. Okay, you can do your shit in live stream, right?
Yeah, I can live stream.
Yeah, we'll try to get as close as we can because you've been to them already. I think they'll be in the upstairs or private room. Is my guess.
Yeah, they might be up in the upstairs, or they might be down in the bar where they do their photos, and Eric Castle, and they do their photos in their little ceremony of their like little club or whatever. It's gonna
You're
be.
right, because it's a small event, so they might not have the whole upstairs.
Yeah,
if they have just the downstairs,
that'd be more
then you can
expensive.
live stream.
They'd have to actually pay, I think, to reserve that upstairs room.
Don't you think that guy's connected to Morrison? They do so many Republican events there.
Yeah, they're all. This is a group of. Listen, the financial advisor and his son, they're the ones who think that they're like the core and that people hover around them. I mean, when I ran the first time, he was talking shit about you. Tell Max to come work with us. Tell him to come work with us. Tell him to stop working against us. Tell him to work with us. Like,
John, did you read that text I sent you, the screenshot for Vargas?
Yeah, I didn't have context for it.
I've fully. So okay, the context is this woman who is a very credible woman. Like she's in politics, and Vargas met her when she was 17 years old with friends. They talked briefly, nothing romantic at all. And then for years he was like just grooming and kept messaging her shit like that.
Hmm. Who is he? He's the Chicago GOP chair?
No, he's the one who runs the Illinois Review, the website I get in fights with.
Oh wow, that's a big one.
Yeah, and the other guy. So he's the head of it, and he worked for Dennis Hastert. He was a Dennis Hastert intern and assistant, and then the other guy got charged with grooming, and he beat the charges. But like, who are you texting a 17-year-old girl about marshmallow vodka?
Yeah,
doesn't sound pretty conservative to me.
What are you gonna put? When is this article coming out?
Oh, I did an article on them already, but I'll do another one with this new information.
Looking at this photo of Clausen. Oh wait, Jesus Christ.
Which one? You will piss ass. I don't give a fuck about some chick in her. What a trashy bitch.
Damn, dude. It's crazy because it's like Clown House, like outside of Clown House. It's really reprehensible people. It's just so fucking synthetic and just cringe.
I know, and like even like I think everyone sees, like even Republicans, they try to basically traffic out the idea of like we agree on something. Please believe me.
Why can't we all just work together? Why can't everybody just like Paul Fiedler?
I'm gonna die. That's the shit they say every time.
Why can't everybody just rally around Dr. Fiedler?
I don't get it. We have more in common. Aren't the Democrats the real bad guys?
Did any of you even vote for Trump?
The woke left. The woke progressive left. J.B. Pritzker.
We have to do whatever we can do to help Trump now that he's won.
I'm dead.
We have to do whatever we can do to stop Brandon Johnson and put Paul Vallis back in the driver's seat.
Okay, I'm dead. I gotta call my fiance. I'm gonna shower quickly. I'm gonna head out in I'll probably go in 15 minutes.
Okay, sounds good. See you later. Bye.
Peace.
once had driven thee far away. O thou that stridest upon the middle of the path, no phantoms block thee.
Episode 4, Herod, I would highly recommend.
Taking European slaves. And it was actually, United States also participated on that mission. In fact, Marines, the shores of Tripoli. So,
like 30 years goes by, and then it hijacks all the computers in the entire world through a QR code. And it like threads its.
I've been gumball refugee. It'll come up, and it talks about when you watch it, it's an economist talking about immigration and like how America is trying to solve world poverty, and yet you watch the numbers by the year, and he goes through it and keeps adding gumballs to the cup, and then he's breaking out what's out there. When you watch it, it'll blow you away. We can throw money at all this stuff all we want. You will never ever solve world poverty the way that we're trying. There's a much better way to do it. You're nailing it. You gotta teach people how to solve their own problems. If you're trying to fund it by sending them something, again, what do they say? Teach a man to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime. Give a man a fish, he eats for one meal. It's like we're not doing it right. But it's sure, I believe with all my heart. I've said this since I was, probably in my 20s, that all of the spending that's happening is all the way that you look at these politicians. And one of them's worth $400-some billion. It's like, no, not the people you should be having running the government, right? They're funding all these NGOs and stuff. All this money is just being funneled around from one person to the next, loading up cash. But our national budget right now is higher than when COVID hit. 6.9 now, 6.8 when COVID hit.
Oh, I know.
We're not sending $600 a week to everybody that signed up. Now, I didn't sign up for it, but let's just say damn near every American was getting $2,400 a month on top of everything else. And we're still spending more than when we did that, and when we were funding COVID and all of the free nose swabs, who were what? Soros and Gates bought that company.
It's because of the aging population and the interest in the national debt. That's why. I mean, there's a multitude of things, but I got to drop off today to go cut my grass, but I'll probably be back.
It grows slow.
Gotta cut my grass.
Yo, Corey, are you religious?
Yeah, I'm a believer. Yeah, I'm not one who judges on anything. I had to laugh. I watched it. I don't know if you ever seen the show, A Good Place. I think it is with Ted. Is that Ted Danson, the one that was in Cheers? It's like a heaven. Yeah, and so it's kind of like a heaven thing. But this woman, she ends up in a place. And long story short, you can tell she's in the wrong place because she has the same name as somebody else. But she don't want to get caught because she doesn't want to go to where she should go, right? And so they were there, but I don't know, seen a few episodes, but one, they asked him because he's kind of like must be the one. It's like you go to a city is the way they make up the heaven, like it's kind of funny. But they asked him one episode, they said, so did anybody ever get it right? He goes, well, the Christians, they got it, 47% right. The Jews got it 53% right. The Catholics, whatever, 30. And he goes through these numbers. He goes, but there were these two guys. One was on LSD, and on something else. And they got it like 98% right. And I just died laughing because it's like, the Bible says, no eye has seen, no ear has heard. We can't comprehend it, right? It's the only way you're going to figure out heaven is if you're on LSD or something.
Yeah, that's funny.
But, yeah.
That's funny.
I like things personally. There's a show I've searched for Prove It Wrong. He sounds like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of evidence to it. But you are never, and this is the same thing. It goes to any subject. When you try to